was spraying, and they had noticed tic-tac-toe and what they called weird designs in the sky. This is just one section of a garage. That's aluminum siding there that was splattered top and bottom and sides with this brown gel material. It was almost impossible to get this off even with pressure washer. This stuff is very, very tenacious. We think it's a polymer coating. The first incidents that received widespread publicity of the brown gel was, of course, Oakville, Washington, in August 1994. This is a little town, 665 people, about 80 miles southwest of Seattle. And that month, that town was covered during a rainstorm with brown gel, and virtually every person in that town became very ill with what residents told me was a really hard flu that lasted from 7 weeks to 2 or 3 months. Cats died, people became dizzy, fell down, were hospitalized. And the state health department stepped in and analyzed this material, and they found that this goo was alive. They found human white blood cells, they found a Pseudomonas fluorescens, which will give you very, very severe upper respiratory problems, and they found an Enterobacter bacteria as well, and that was confirmed by a second lab. What they didn't find out is where it came from and why the aircraft were dropping it on this population. But we do have pattern and precedent here. We have some 50 years of biological experimentation on the people of this country and the United States and England, testing various biological warfare simulants that, don't worry, won't hurt anyone, but in fact did hurt a lot of people who were susceptible. From San Francisco to New York City, Winnipeg in particular, some 2 million people exposed in England. They used ships and they used spray-equipped aircraft to deliver serratia marcescens, zinc cadmium sulfate, a known carcinogen by the way, and other material that would show up very quickly in their tests to test dispersal rates and infection rates in the population. And the idea was that you made people sick enough to report to their doctor or the hospital, you could track the efficiency of these weapons on your own population. Oh, this is legal, by the way, at least in the United States. Section 1520 says it's okay for the Department of Defense to test chemical and biological weapons on the population as long as it's for research purposes. But in November '87, that law was amended and now reads 30 days advance notice must be given to Congress, and any human subject subjected to these tests must be notified in advance. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't received any notification by phone or mail that I'm about to be and have been experimented on.
So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. As always, please help keep this show on air by letting your cable company know you're watching. Or better yet, tell them what you think of the show. They transcribe every one of your calls and pass them on to us. We'd love to hear what you think about chemtrails. Next week, we'll hear more from William Thomas on chemtrails, including his notion as to why they exist. See you next week. Goodbye for now.
I'll say categorically, as a researcher and a person who's writing about health for many years, that if we look behind the illnesses afflicting us now that are putting people in hospital, this flu-like illness, we are going to find fungus among us. Okay, treatment. We want to be alkaline. Fungal infections further acidify our blood with their byproducts. If our bloodstream is alkaline, if we eat that green leafy stuff and avoid the fun foods, my primary supplement is cayenne. Cayenne. Heat up your blood. Cayenne and ginger and garlic and miso and shiitake, but cayenne. And also oxygenate your blood with liquid oxygen supplements or exercise. Very important. We can knock out these fungal infections. those deaths that have been so often linked to this spraying intentional? Are they really trying to do us in? Or are they an unfortunate and unintentional byproduct of a program that is seen to have overriding national security implications in terms of global warming? Or are the people behind this program getting two for the price of one?
Never stop to wonder when watching my TV why we who do the work are so seldom seen. Now I'm wondering why we're blacked out or portrayed as troublemakers, or always in the background when on screen. Working TV, now we're on screen. Working TV.
Welcome to Working TV. I'm Libby Davies. This week we continue with week 2 of the presentation on chemtrails by journalist William Thomas. According to Thomas, these chemtrails are the bizarre cloud-like trails left from the systematic spraying of chemicals over our cities and towns. Chemtrails look much like the contrails left by jet aircraft, but they don't dissipate in less than a minute as contrails do. In fact, they hang about for some time, slowly dissipating, and are often sprayed in crisscross or X patterns. Many of you claim to have seen, photographed, or videotaped these chemtrails, yet Transport Canada and the mainstream media won't even acknowledge they exist. That's because, according to Thomas, they are part of some kind of sinister plot to both control the weather and to cull our populations. This may sound like yet another nutty conspiracy theory. We're not so sure. At least we think Thomas deserves a listen. You decide. Here now, continued from last week, is part 2 of chemtrails.
Now, I've been an environmental journalist for some 10 years. I attend conferences, I talk to scientists, and I keep up to speed on what is happening to this planet. I talk to advisors to this government, scientific advisors, and they are unanimous in calling what is happening to our atmosphere a global emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a scam. This is actually happening. Poles are melting at an unprecedented rate. In the Arctic to the north of us, at such a rate, in fact, that the cold water now entering the North Atlantic is intersecting the North Atlantic conveyor, bringing warm water and nutrients up from the tropics and cooling that and slowing down this conveyor. And this is the conveyor that moderates climate across England and Europe. And you saw the huge windstorms and rainstorms this year, all the trees knocked down in France, the superstorms they're calling them. And we're seeing more and more of these superstorms. We're seeing rainfall patterns change, droughts, floods, tornadoes in winter. And it's the insurance company, not the environmentalists, that are pushing governments to act. The insurers are panicked. We're talking an industry even bigger than the arms industry and the fossil fuel mafia on this planet. They are very concerned that an unstable climate may destroy the insurance industry and take down the banks that back them. Insured losses were up 10 times from 83 to 92, and that was just the beginning. Lloyd's of London has lost $11 billion in 4 years, and I don't believe they're going to be able to sustain those kind of losses. Hurricane Andrew alone cost $15.5 billion to insurers, and now they're saying catastrophic losses from climatic extremes will total $30 billion a year here on out. At the same time, we have a real emergency with the shredding ozone layer that protects our spaceship Earth from solar radiation. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has revised its estimate of skin cancer deaths from 9,300 to 200,000 over the next 50 years. Now, in August 1998, there was an international seminar on planetary emergencies. And Edward Teller took an idea, first proposed in 1979 by the renowned physicist Freeman Dyson, who proposed that we insert sunlight-reflecting particles to deflect solar radiation and cool the planet. This wasn't just an idle theory, because when El Chicon erupted, the resulting fallout from that volcano slowed the global warming trend 25%, and gave the people saying, well, there's really nothing to this global warming, quite a lot of ammunition for a year or two.